Going live. We are live Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Central Time. We will be talking about the bracket one of the Pete Strikes Back and probably taking a look at a couple of the drams that we had during that bracket. We also have a guest. He'll come in here in a little bit. He's watching the end of bracket one, and he didn't want us to spoil it for him. So
it's like 8 p.m. his time.
Yep. If you can't see him down there, you don't know him. That's Roy from the Aqua Vitae's channel, coming to us from Glasgow, Scotland. Bartow, so bracket one, Bart, what are we going to do?
We're going to test it. Bring the mic to me, right? And me go to the mic. Now, if you live in Glasgow, do they call you like a Glasgowian? I mean, what's the
Don't distract him. He's watching the end of the show. Let's let him.
Sorry. I'll just remind me. I'll ask that later. Now you talk for a bit. I'm going to mute myself and bring up the chat.
Okay. So bracket one, if you guys haven't, anybody that's tuning in, we started the Pete Strikes Back, our second 16 bottle peated shootout. It's following up the first 16 bottle shootout, which we titled March Pete Madness. In bracket one, which aired yesterday, Saturday morning, we had Ardbeg and Noah, Lagavulin Distillers Edition, Lefroy Triplewood, and Kilhoman Lope Gorm. So we'll sit down and we'll talk about each one of these. And I've got some samples here, and I'm actually going to pour the Kilhoman Lope Gorm first, and we'll take a look at that. And I think Bart's got some of that as well. Oh, and Food Quig's tuning in. He says he hasn't watched it yet. There's going to be some spoilers, Quig. You might have to pause this and come back later.
Pause it, Quig. Pause it. I'm back.
Did you get the chat box popped out?
It popped it out. I did. It's popped.
Just look through, see who all we got tuning in. We had some people here early, ready. Stephen Grimes was here. Happy Guy, Gene Parker, Jason Whiskey Wise, Tom R.
Yeah. Hold on. Eric Waite wants to know what whiskey goes with tuna. I'm going to say the Kilhoman Loch Golem.
Yeah, but don't say tuna. We need to take a look at that before after Roy gets done finishing up watching.
Got it. All right. Hush.
We have a new watcher from Belgium, Heiko. Hello, Heiko. Thank you for tuning in. Evil Dub, haven't seen you tune in before. And there was somebody's initials. There it is, AJB. I haven't seen you tune in before. AJB, thank you. Colorless Blue Things is here. Loch Ness, Jez Body, Eric Gilbert, Kevin Maato, Brett Bulware, Box of Quality, William Slattery, Hoyt Hemphill. Boom, we got everybody. Everybody's tuning here. Food Quig, Malt Fan, Mark Saliba, James Hope, Kyron Harris. Kyron, I haven't seen you tune in before. We got a few new guys with us today, Bart.
You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to grab like a OG, like Hemphill, and go, we ain't seen Hemphill before, and have what the hell? Yeah, I was going to do it. And I was like, I better not. I better not grab old Bill Slattery and be like, who's that? Look at that. We got a Bill guy. Woo, never seen Bill.
Yeah, Christopher Malloy, Kara Yenev. Good to see you guys. Jason Coates, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah.
Bart, I poured a little bit. It hasn't come up in the shootout yet, but Douglas Lang's Big Pete. So I have a few samples here from our bottles that we've got.
I tried to grab. Well, I grabbed two, the Anoa, and I grabbed the Loch Gorm from our first bracket.
Okay.
So I grabbed those, and then I did pull over. I still have the Lauren here, and I got to be a little careful because the Kilhoman, my number one from our first Pete shootout, it's been, I've been going to a little more, but it's going to obviously be in Make America Peated again. So I can't just tear that up.
Yeah, there's still a couple bottles in town.
Oh, I need to do that. I need to find that then. When it scores number one, gotta have it. Gotta have a backup, so I don't hesitate.
Now, well, it was good. The main issue with it is it's a little over $100. It's a little pricey, but good.
Yeah, I think we got it for 105. I think. Hold on. Got all out of frame. Look at that.
So let's pour. I'm going to go right to the Lope Gorm first.
All right. I've got an Anoa.
Oh,
now, anybody?
You want to wait on the Lope Gorm?
Do you have an Anoa sample there?
I've got some Grooves.
Oh,
or Corey Vrecken.
Both good. Both. We haven't reached those yet, so I was going to stay away from them just so I didn't.
Well, okay.
But you can do whatever you want.
I don't have anything else in this bracket then besides the Lope Gorm. So I'll wait. I'll finish my Big Pete.
Go with the Grooves.
You keep spelling it Grooves too in a bunch of our messages and stuff like that.
In a bunch.
Yeah. Well, at least two different things you put out. I saw
two.
Hard baked Grooves.
Well, it's probably auto corrected or something. I didn't notice it. So, because it's all groovy, it's got that whole Groovalicious kind of label on it.
That's right. What do we got? Are you looking at the comments? We had anything good come in?
Well, Evil Dub says the Grooves is going for $2.50 a bottle now, and then he's got a little sad face emoji.
Yeah.
Yep, that would be sad.
Doug Chrisope is here. I haven't seen Doug Chrisope before. Hey, do you have our new manual labored cowbell with you?
Ooh. It's upstairs. You want me to run for it? Here, let me have the boy bring it down.
Yeah, have the boy bring it down.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Make sure I don't accidentally. The two people I text the most, you and my wife, and you may be up above, so I got to be careful at defaults when I text you more than the wife. That'll get me in trouble at some point.
Dylan Northrup is tuning in. Just watched this morning. So funny you guys picked the same top two yet again. So we're waiting. We don't want to give away. Roy is finishing up watching bracket one, and so we're waiting for him to get done before we. Are you done? Are you done with bracket one? All right. Well, you can come on. You can come on in, Roy. I think. Did you mute yourself?
Hello, boys. How are you?
Good. Hello. Things in Scotland.
Yeah, not so bad, not so bad. It's bizarre being on with you guys actually when it's daylight outside. This is the first live I've ever done with you guys, and it's been daylight outside here. Because even in the summertime when I did it, it was kind of late. It was like 11, 12 o'clock at night for me. So it was dark already. So yeah, it's still broad daylight here. It's just after 8 o'clock. And to answer your question, Bart, we are Glaswegians. Glasgow Glaswegians.
How do you say it again?
Glaswegians. So I think it was Hoyt Hemphill had mentioned in the chat, and he's absolutely right. We are referred to ourselves as Glaswegians. Although I'm not strictly a proper Glaswegian. I was born outside of Glasgow, and I've only lived here for a long time. I don't know if I can claim to be a proper Glaswegian.
Oh. We could call you a wee Glaswegian.
Pretend Glaswegian.
That would just be a small child from Glasgow, probably.
Yeah. I'm obviously I think everyone that's tuning in tonight, right, will have watched the bracket already, because there's inevitably going to be spoilers, right?
Yes.
Except Quig. We've told Quig he should probably pause us.
Yeah, Quig hasn't had a chance to watch yet, so yeah.
Quig was like, "I'm in." We're like, "You better get out."
Yeah.
There's fixing to be some spoilers, so the first thing to talk about is the comment that I just addressed that said we both picked we picked the same number one, and even our number two was the same, which the number one that we both picked out of bracket one is the Lafroig Triplewood, and our number two for both of us was the Lagavulin Distillers Edition.
Right. And we both kind of picked out what may be a bad bottle that we got, because we picked that out independently as well.
And we do have that. We also we joined Swami last night, malted to Montreal for a little bit. We did some talking of this. We even went back last night and looked at the Kilchoman Lope Gorm again, and we're both really still getting the same off-putting notes with it.
Yeah.
Now, Bart was drinking. Someone had one of the comments on YouTube. Someone thought maybe there was something in the sample bottle that we used which is it wasn't a sample bottle because it's still. I have another sample bottle, and then you've actually got the bottle that you were drinking from last night.
Yeah, I've got the box, and I checked the cork, and the cork's fine, and everything looks fine. But yeah, it's okay, but.
And I think maybe it's just.
I think what's happened there is you've got, Kilchoman has often got some really quite distinctive notes in there, sometimes savoury notes and things. And what you've got is a Kilchoman from a sherry cask, right? And it's kind of, because you're tasting in contrast, direct contrast, it's really bringing out those maybe to some palates more challenging notes, right? You said you got a bit of smoked fish. You said you got a sourness from it and things. And you might not have picked that out if you were sipping it in isolation because you'd just be enjoying the sweetness, maybe some fruits from the sherry and the smoke and peat. But when you're drinking it in contrast, especially, I have to say, up against things like that Anoa, which is really sweet. Right. The Anoa is quite a very sweet Ardbeg, I would say.
Well, and so we're going to go back to it. I just poured what I have left of my sample.
All right. I'm going to get some in here too. Hold on. Let me mute. The boy's having a hard time finding said cowbell. Hold on one second. I can get it to pull up here on my mute.
Yeah, no, even last night when I went back to it, the nose and even here still just different. I mean, the sour note is still there. It's dirty socks. Almost like the nose of the Glenlivet Nadura when we went through on the March Peat Madness. But the palate didn't help it on this one. Now, the thing is, we've done the Loch Gorham before. It's been a couple of years, and I don't remember it being as bad. And I thought that as well, Roy, that maybe, on its own, maybe it's not that bad, but it was when it's compared to some others is where it kind of showed some of the faults. Or just the different, not necessarily faults, but the difference.
Yeah. Differences are good. And I'm going to be the first to say, for those that haven't, or if you have, tune in the Kilchoman Cask Strength blew me away. It was #1 in the first bracket. Or not first bracket, sorry, in the first Peat Shootout. Say hi, Bo.
Hi, Bo.
All right. Very comedic. Thank you. Well done. Well done. No. Shut the door, please. All right. We felt the digital cowbell wasn't sufficient. So if anybody does super chat, if you do, great. If you don't, that's great too. But if you do, we're going to get to hear what this sounds like, and we'll see how annoying a real one is compared to the fake one. Sorry, I'm trying not to ring it until I can get it down. So there we go. We just were like, you can't digitize cowbell. You got to have live and in-person cowbell. All right, I poured some Loch Gorham as well. The nose, I get that ocean spray seaside saltiness. I do get a little bit of savoriness on the nose as well. It does have a unique nose. I think there is even a touch of sour, but it's that saltiness that I even get on the nose. Aquavite wanted to hear Roy had to know what it heard, what it sounded like. He said, "Give me the cowbell."
Hold it back away from the mic. Like do it behind you or back a ways.
Oh, that was too close. Sorry.
Yeah, either way, it was good up close too.
Okay, good. All right, that was a test there. Well, hopefully we get to test it some more. We'll see. That was far away. We got close. You got, as I'm moving it, you get little hints of cowbell. I call that a hint of cowbell. A smidge of cow. All right, there we go. I saw Roy start typing when I showed that, and I thought, oh, what's he doing? And then boom, there it was.
Yeah.
Now, Roy, I got to ask you, what do you got right there that looks like it's plugged in front of you? What is that?
This here,
Yeah, what is that?
a Yeti, the same as what you guys have,
Oh,
but it's on a
He's got it.
mount so that I can fold it away here.
ooh.
But I use it all the time. I use it. It's such a good mic that I use it for work now and things as well, because this is the desk I work from every day as well. I work from home. So I just leave this thing hanging on the desk now until it gets in the way. It's kind of cool.
Beautiful. And I love your blue drinking glass behind so that you can't see the colors if you're blind tasting.
Well, this and the whiskey that's next to it, actually, I brought up because I thought I may drink it tonight, especially if the guy who sent me this was going to drop in. This is from Rombout, our friend Rombout, right? Aye, laddie?
Mm-hmm.
And Rombout sent me a Dutch single malt, and I've taken the top out of this. It's quite tasty. This is a Den Huel, 6-year-old. And he sent me the blind tasting glass as well. But I realized this is an ISO. This is one of the actual official blind tasting glasses, the ISO glasses that they would use. But I realized there's a flaw. There's a flaw in only having one blind tasting glass. You really need two, don't you?
Yep.
Because if you've just got one glass and you're trying to guess what the whiskey is, you really need to see the color to have a chance of guessing, right? So
here we go. We got a hip hill, a little bit of a cryptic one here. We got $1.99 and then it says $5. So I'm not sure what's going on, but and see, how annoying is that? We'll have to see. My wife might even come down and be like, "What in the heck's going on?
Quit doing that. Stop it.
Yeah, what are you doing? Stop! Don't do it anymore." That's.
I actually thought, Scott, that what I would do for my equivalent of the cowbell was would be to record one of your legendary belches, and every time someone super chatted me, I'd let that one go.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones in the parody I did of your videos at the recycled dumpster.
That's exactly where I would pick it from. There's some real live belches happening in that video. Yes, absolutely.
Terrible.
I actually watched that again quite recently. I think it's just so funny. I think it's hilarious.
Simeon de la Vecchia, he asks us if we're going to have any blended peats, like Big Pete, Smokehead, and Peat Monster in our shootouts.
There's one.
Well, two actually. We do have the Big Pete and Compass Box Flaming Heart in the Pete Strikes Back shootout. In March Pete Madness, we had Compass Box No Name.
Yep, you're right. I forget. I wasn't thinking Flaming Heart. I was just thinking but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Did we have any other blends in the first one, or was I think the No Name was the only one we had in there?
Well, I read your blog post, and you've got a list of everything right on the blog post, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
On our website, I put up a blog post, and I listed out the 4 brackets, and then each bottle that's in for the Pete Strikes Back. So you can go there, and you can see all 16 bottles and which bracket they're in.
I only have one complaint.
Yes.
And that's and I was reading the list and I was saying, no, tell me it can't be true, but there's no long row in there at all. No long row.
We did consider the Long Row 13 Malbec, which we do have here. It was a little pricey. We'd already spent quite a bit to get some bottles to finish out the Pete Strikes Back, so we elected not to include that one.
Well, I say that is the trouble with long rows, and the most available one is a non-age statement, a NAS version that's reasonably priced. You can get it everywhere. But the 18-year-old, and as you say, the reds, the long row reds, the Malbec is a long row red. The Malbec is one of the best probably the best long row red I've tasted. I absolutely loved that. I never actually owned a bottle of it though. I've got the 11-year-old, the Cab Franc version. It's very good, but you're absolutely right. It's strictly limited availability. In fact, in Scotland, it was one of those lottery type things. You were literally putting your name on a list in some places to try and get the phone call in the hope that you could get it.
Really?
Yeah, and I got onto my local retailer the very day they had it in, and they said it's on the shelf now. It might not be on the shelf when you get here. And literally, I went online and reserved it online, and then went in and collected it that afternoon. It's just how quick, and it was gone by the time I'd got into the shop. I was glad I'd reserved it because it had already gone by the time I got there. It's just the way it is. And it seems crazy because Longrow, you guys seem to be able to go into like your local Vine and Table or Binny's or whatever it might be, and you can find it, the Longrow Red, on free shelf, right?
I don't know on those. I can tell you here in town, we have Longrow in one store that I've seen. That's Plaza out east. So, and even that Longrow 13 Malbec is $105 or $110.
Yeah, I mean that's about a wee bit more than we pay here. I paid, what did I pay? 60 or 70 pounds. I don't even remember now. 70 pounds or thereabouts. It's not cheap, but it's pretty delicious.
Mm.
Go Habs is giving you a warning.
I just saw that.
What does Go Habs say?
Careful, guys. Roy Aquavita has a 2-hour minimum for live stream.
I saw that. What I do think Roy's calling out is even though we're going to do the Make America Peated Again combo of the last two, that just means next year we're going to have to come up with yet another peated shootout, Scott.
Yeah. Now let's do it. We are working on some special designs for Make America Peated Again. There may be some bumper stickers involved. Very campaignish type stuff going on.
Right. All to do with the Pete, baby. Make America Peated Again.
Well, and before we close out today, we do have some new T-shirt designs as well. I took down the website a couple days ago. We'll go through. We're going to get some new T-shirt designs posted. We're going to do that today, and we'll address it again later. If you wait until, I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday, it's the 17th and the 18th, Spreadshirt has, our shop has 20% off of all orders. So we'll put everything up so you can see them. You can go through, add one of each to your basket, and then wait until Tuesday to order, and you'll get 20% off. So
now, question: What if you don't live in the States and you want to go to?
That is a great question, Bart.
I felt that was good.
We're also launching a shop in Europe, in the UK. So if you live over there, you won't have to pay exorbitant shipping fees. You can log into the UK, our UK T-shirt shop, and order from there and save quite a bit on shipping. So
still Spreadshirt, just like the UK version.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Beautiful. That's good.
Because like we do know
yeah.
It's like what?
It's a franchise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn. Franchise, baby. Because we've had a lot of folks, the Netherlands, whiskey's huge in the Netherlands, where they're just buying coins, and we know it's expensive to ship even the coins over. I love to kind of see how whiskey's going, or at least how the dummies are able to move kind of through the whiskey world by looking at who's buys stuff, who's gets the coin, who's tuning in. It's beautiful to kind of see that worldwide whiskey love that's all around.
Simeon Della Vecchia is asking if we ship to Australia. The T-shirt shop, it's a website. It handles all the shipping. I'm not sure what their restrictions are, or if they will out of the UK shop. Our coins and our glasses and our hats, we are handling the shipping on, and we do ship international. So if you go on the website and you order outside of the shirts, I'm not sure on. I don't know for sure on that. Roy, would you know, would the UK shop ship to Australia? Well, they all will, I guess. You could order. It's just expensive shipping. Yes, that's true.
I mean, I don't think there's any restriction on shipping a T-shirt anywhere. I think it's all just a question of cost, right? And I guess, shipping to Australia will be expensive, but
till they come up with the Spreadshirt Australia franchise.
That's right. All you need is to try and find someone in Australia willing to open a shirt store down for you there. So yeah, I don't know to be honest with you. There are a few guys. There's quite a few guys tune in to both our lives, I think, from the Southern Hemisphere, from New Zealand and Australia. So you never know. Do you ship coins down there?
We gone to New Zealand. I thought we'd gone to New Zealand.
We've shipped all over. Yeah. Well, and Whiskey Throttle's asking about Canada. We ship to Canada, Spreadshirt as well. Our shop will be show America and Canada will be in one, and then the UK shop will show a different website.
Right. Yeah, we wanted to try just because we were. I mean, we'd even heard from. I guess the one I talked to a gentleman from the Netherlands. He just, it's very expensive. It's more than the shirt. If you were to buy it out of the U.S. store, and then the shipping was more than the shirt, I was like, yeah, I get it. I wouldn't do that. So coming up with other options is good.
Pradeep has asked a couple of times. He's wanting to know what blends we have. I don't know if he's talking about in the shootout. We talked about we have the Douglas Lang's Big Pete is in there. We've had Compass Box No Name and Flaming Heart.
I like when Pradeep calls us captains.
Yep, Caps.
Yeah, Caps. Hello, Caps. I love that. I think he was well ahead of Captain Description moniker that I have.
And Whiskey Throttle is confused. He thinks I was saying that Canada is in America. And all I can say is that wouldn't cost very much for America to buy Canada. It'd be like $2,000 or something.
Oh, but that would be U.S., so it'd only be like 196.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just, see, you're making all the Canadians get mad at you. Even when you say that, they just say something like fun right back or in French.
So I've been sitting here sipping on the Loke Gorm, and it's gotten better, but it's still, I mean, maybe I've gotten used to some of the notes. A lot of the sweetness has come out a little bit more with it. It's still a little bit different.
It is different, which is, and I think, Roy, you're right on. When it's up in a comparison, especially in this one, the Anoa was right up with the Loke Gorm, and the sweetness of one and then the saltiness of the other. I think that definitely affected even the taste palette as it came through, because I finished the Anoa, and I'm just trying to sip on this. And it is still very different, unique, and it's all the things I described, but it has a lot more of those, like I said, the smoked fish and the salty sea and the briny water.
Heiko, who's watching, he's in Belgium. He says maybe it's an idea that a couple of them together up there order a group purchase basically and split the shipping. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, we talked about that for coins too, that if there was like a whiskey club in the Netherlands, they'd be better off buying a bunch of coins at once and then kind of sharing it out that way just to get around shipping.
Yeah, because you can't make any money. You don't want to make any money on shipping. That's what it takes to get it somewhere, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I remember the last time I bought coins, I got 4 over at the same time, right? Nice, efficient way to. So I got my brothers, I got the Whiskey Rev, I also got Vin, actually, No Nonsense Whiskey, all 4 coins sent over at the same time. So try and
I've got to ask you, your brother's an actual reverend as well, right? I know that's not his name, but is he a rev? A reverend?
Oh, the Whiskey Rev is not my brother. The Whiskey Rev is my friend. And yeah, he is actually a Church of Scotland minister. We met because we lived in the same area, and I met him because our kids went to the same school. And through a conversation one day, it came out that he liked whiskey, but he didn't really know that much about it. He was just a kind of casual follower. So I got my claws into him, and I got him round to the house here, and a friendship built up over a number of years around my dining room table. And yeah, he was a minister in a local parish here. I'm not religious, but that didn't stop the friendship. When whiskey's involved, Whiskey is fantastic social glue for. It doesn't matter how you eat, how you pray, what you look like. So, yeah, the two of us just got together for years studying whiskey, really getting into it, really geeking out about it. And now they actually moved to the Highlands, and he left his charge here in Glasgow. And while he was back living in the Highlands, a job opportunity came up for him at Macallan. And so now the Whiskey Rev is working at Macallan, which is why, we don't see so much of him anymore. So yeah, he's in the industry now. So that he's just selling a different kind of spirit now. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, there you go. He's been moved by another spirit.
Yeah,
wonderful.
But no, my brother's a fan of yours as well. He watches from down south. He lives in the south of England, he's got coins and things from you guys, and you probably know his handle, but you probably don't know him as my brother.
Got it. Okay.
What's his handle? I know his name.
Nano Green.
Oh, Nano Green. Okay, I didn't know that was your brother. Yeah.
Yep, that's him. Yep. So yeah. Everybody's getting into whiskey now.
Do what?
Everybody's getting into whiskey now, and you know, when I have friends that are not into whiskey, I just beat them over the head with it until they are into whiskey. Which is what last Thursday's live stream was about. You know, what little things you can use to try and make people understand or appreciate the diversity of whiskey and what it's like. And if you say I don't like whiskey, you know, that joke about, it's not that you don't like whiskey, it's just that you haven't found one that you like yet. So
right.
But I find it's almost universal. Everybody that loves whiskey once didn't like it. I mean, actively took a stance of disliking it.
A quick shout out, My Bourbon Journey. Scott is tuning in. I know Malted in Montreal is also here. I don't know if he was here originally at the start.
He had tacos.
That's right. I did see that. He said you just ate 12 tacos. Whiskey Throttle is tuning in. He started his own live streams and whiskey reviews. And I'll tell you, Scott, though, My Bourbon Journey, we need to get an invite out to him and have him on the show sometime, Bart.
There you go. Good.
Anybody that's not watching My Bourbon Journey, tune in over there. I was trying to see if there was anybody else that had tuned in that's reviewing. Eric Wade is here, the sniper.
Sniper. I'm trying to come up with a phrase. I like the one shot, one kill, but it needs to be like a shot of a whiskey glass or something instead of maybe a scope with like a Glencairn in it. I don't know.
Huh.
Sorry.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the sniper, one shot, one kill, and it's got the whole double thing going on with a shot of whiskey.
Jason Whiskey Wise, he's here. Check out Jason. Jason does a great job. Jason brings an amount of enthusiasm that rivals Bart, if not exceeds.
Well, I'm helped out by clothing.
All right, where are we at on time? Should we go? I'm going to go in. I'm going to be working here while we're talking. I'm going to our website, and I'm going to make our T-shirts live.
Oh, there you go. And then screenshot.
Again, to everybody, wait until Tuesday and Wednesday, April 17th and 18th. There is a 20% off code on the website for everything that's in your cart, basically.
Right. So that's the benefit you get from watching the show. You are up on the discount. That's
true. Yep.
Coming in. Yeah. You tuned in. Now you know about the discount.
So I guess, are we all going to go running off and check the website now, or are you going to do a screen share to let us see them? Or
well, let me make them live, and I don't want everybody to see the back page, or not backpage.com.
Oh, back page. That's a whole nother show.
Let me go in here and activate them, and then we can go through and screen share so everybody doesn't have to go.
There you go. Oh, Frank says nobody exceeds the Bart. Love that. Anytime you got the Bart in there, that's good. Bird Dog says we don't shoot it, we sip it. I agree. I totally agree, Bird Dog. I just thought since it's the sniper with the one shot, one kill, that would be a good logo. Especially if the scope was all zeroed in on like a Glencairn with some whiskey in it.
Still working here. You guys keep talking.
I'm going to fill time. I'm going to keep talking about the sniper. No, Roy, tell me something else I don't know about Glasgow. What's the best restaurant when we come visit you out there?
Well, I would probably take you to somewhere and I would focus less on the food and more on the whiskey menu, right?
I believe
There's a really nice hotel come restaurant up in the West End called One Devonshire Gardens. It's quite a nice place. Nice place to stay over as well. But they have a decent menu, a little bit on the pricey side, but you know, you get what you pay for, right?
Right.
And the good thing about going up that end of town is that at the West End, you've got there's decent whiskey collections being curated behind bars like Oranmore in the West End, a fantastic converted church. Then there's the Wee Bar at the Chip and the Ben Nevis, all fantastic whiskey shrines now. And then the other whiskey places in Glasgow would be, of course, the Bonaccord and the famous Pot Still, as well as the Piper Bar in the centre. But all of these bars are just building and building. Their collections are getting bigger and bigger. And because there is really a demand for it now, people are really, really getting into whiskey and enjoying trying different whiskies when they're out. And what better way to do it? You know, you don't need to invest in a whole bottle. Just go in and have a bar pour.
Right. Yeah, it's a perfect way to do it.
So there you go. I've skipped. You asked about a restaurant, and I went straight. I know a lot more about the bars.
We like the way you talk, though, and the fact that it's a good place to stay over is good too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I noticed somebody. I don't know if it was Whiskey Throttle. Somebody earlier had been asking, when are the dummies going to do a manga designed shirt?
That is on Bart's. That's on Bart's to-do list.
Yes, I like the idea. Of course, you know it's going to be mostly our famous yellow color. That would be number one. Finding a company that would do the button-up is a big deal too. But I don't know if we get to the point where I could have, because there's always some kind of hero with a sword, so it would be like Bruno with a throwing star. Scott would be chucking a little throwing star or something. I don't know. So yeah, cast of characters. We'll see. But yeah, it would lead with the yellow would be the primary color with the hints of black coming through. And you know what? Instead of it being Scott, it would have to be our android. So can you imagine a manga-styled android? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe even wearing the Spartan helmet.
This guy.
Yes.
This guy here.
Okay, so everything has been – now sometimes it takes the website a little while to update. When you go to our website now, when you go to the store, the merchandise page pops up, which has our coins, our glasses, and our hats. And then you'll see two tabs now. One is for the USA and Canada T-shirt shop. Whiskey Throttle, that's two different countries. And then there's another tab for the UK European shirt shop. So it might take a while for the designs to upload. Just keep checking back and refreshing your page.
Kevin Mayato, if I'm saying it right, he's still waiting to see Scott's Knit and Shit show. We may have to do like one of our special dummy deals where we'll come on and it'll still be on our channel, but it'll be the mythical show that Scott's created.
Let me close some stuff out here and get to my folder, and then I'll do a screen share with what I can. You know, Roy, I'll have to find
speaking of the whiskey, Roy, I'm going to agree with you. Not that this is hard to say, 110%, because I've just been exclusively trying to just pour that Kilchoman Loch Gorm. And when it's not butting up next to another peated whiskey, it's the non-palatable stuff slides away. So it's got to be that clash that's coming in with like a real sweet peat versus this saltier peat.
Well, I think it was Eric Waite that said, is it a bit like having a glass of orange juice after you've brushed your teeth in the morning? And I think it's exactly that, or having whiskey after you've just brushed your teeth even, or, when you've got that contrast there, it can really show up some ugliness and things that are normally quite delicious. And that happens a lot. But what can happen when you're doing that with whiskey, when you have two and you taste in contrast side by side, and you suddenly get that, you pick out a new flavor or something new pops out. But every time you go back to that dram after that, even in isolation, you're able to pick it out. Now that you've pegged it, it's always kind of going to be there. But I think what you're saying now is as you sip that and you're just sipping that one dram, what's happening is that you're drinking past those kind of things that you didn't really enjoy so much, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. Of course, we filmed all the Peat Strikes Back, but when we go into Make America Peated again, we'll have to talk, or at least I'll cover some of that in my learning curve that's occurring as we do these things. So, because that's very new experiential for me.
Well, what was quite marked about the bracket one today is how little you or Scott mentioned smoke or peat. Mm-hmm. I think it's just it's almost obvious if you're having a peat bracket. We know there's going to be smoke and peat there, but you kind of have to register it and you say it. But I think what's happening with you guys after the 16 you've done in the first bracket of this is that you're already leaping beyond that. You're trying to taste past that, getting whether it's sweet or fruity or whatever it may be.
And when they're together, it surprised me in our very first bracket. The peat, it was weird. It slides to the rear a little bit. It's because there's not the comparison of the unpeated to the peated. They're all peated, and I kept saying, man, I know these are all heavily peated, but it's going more to a baseline and allowing me to pick up all these other subtleties that normally I wouldn't even get.
Yeah. It's a fantastic way to learn about whiskey. It really is. And it's a fantastic way to challenge yourself as well. But you tend to come away, even if, one that you've declared as your favorite suddenly becomes your second favorite, you come away still probably loving the whiskey even more because you've been able to get to know it more.
100%. I mean, I've said in that first run, in that March Peat Madness, I did not think the Kilchoman cast strength bottle was going to do that well. I thought, okay, I'm glad we got one in there. I don't think it's going to do good. And then the bigger surprise was I kind of looked at myself as a Laphroaig guy. I like Ardbeg, but then I do the blind, and it's Ardbeg, and Kilchoman, and then Kilchoman beats out the three Ardbegs, and I was like, wow. So, and then I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, so yeah, the education, the fun of it, that's why I'm encouraging everybody, do some of these blind shootouts where you mix, even if you only have 8 of the bottles, just do some of that at home.
Well, I noticed that Everwind had suggested that you try to predict what you're going to call, and you did that at the start of the video, didn't you? You filled it out and put it in a sealed envelope. And I liked Scott's joke where he turned around to you and said, well, you just need to write Ardbeg, don't you?
Yeah, just put Ardbeg in there and you got a shot.
Chances are.
And I still didn't. There was what I was, well, I've got to be careful because I know what happens in the following, a little bit what happens in the following brackets.
Well, you you put through, obviously, I don't want it, if it's a spoiler, so stick your fingers in your ears or the one that you put through, I think you both agreed on number 2 as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
We don't need to mention what it is, I guess. But that's 1 and 2 you both agreed on. And that's really interesting, although I have to confess as a viewer, it's really confusing to watch. And I understand why you're doing it. It makes sense why you're doing it like that. But it must be confusing for you guys when you're sitting there and you're vocalizing your tasting notes. And I'll bet that you're able to prompt flavors in each other's drams, even although that's more than likely you're drinking a different dram.
A little bit.
We try not to. I think I'm pretty good at tuning Bart out now, because Bart. Yeah. I mean, a few times Bart has been like, "Oh my God!" He's also tuned in to what I'm saying. It's like I can sit there though, I'll nose mine, and he's talking, but I'm not even listening to him.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying. Yeah, I tried to do that with you as well, because I actually, when we did this the first time, I did find where you would say, "Oh, I get a brininess," and then I would be mentally searching for the salt, and sometimes I would get at that power suggestion. So yes, that's there. Yes, it can be a little disjointed, I think, for the viewer, the very same way it is for us. What is very interesting, where I think it wins out as the way to do it, is when we're able to pick out, we both pick out that the Loch Gorm was a little bit sour in that grouping, even though they weren't lined up. So we weren't able to influence each other on that. So I found that was interesting, how they kind of rose.
I think that every tasting you go to, though, every blind tasting or regular tasting, you tend to be sat in company where people are drinking the same thing, and that dynamic of leading each other, of kind of suggesting notes and other people suddenly picking up the notes that you suggested, or vice versa. I think it's a very common thing, and I actually quite enjoy it. I like it when I'm sitting there sipping something and not getting much, and somebody says something, and immediately you get it. You're just like, yeah, why didn't I get that? Why did that have to be suggested to me? But I think that's the normal way of kind of tasting, is that you tend to be doing it alongside other people. But of course, it can often, and very often does, directly affect how you favor the whiskey, right?
Yeah. But also not knowing if ours are lining up or not. I think when I go through and C is my favorite, or fits my palate, and then Bart, it's his A that fits his palate, and he finds the best of the 4. And then when we get done, we find out, well, it was the same bottling. Well, and there's been a few where Bart was getting different notes, on that A than what I was getting on my C, but the palates lined up, and we said, yeah, that's our best of the 4, our favorite of the 4.
Yeah.
Bart is laughing. Bart wants to laugh because I was talking about his A.
Well, no, he took a swipe at me during the Swami show, so I'm not commenting.
You were laughing, though. I could see you.
It was an internal joke. It was a knock-knock joke. I remembered that my son told me. So, yeah. No, my maturity level's grown since last night. I agree, though. It's interesting, because I would agree that has been the hardest thing for me to do when we're sitting there, is that, and we've talked about this, that when we do a straight review of a single bottle, Scott will pick up on something, and I know what's in front of us, and we're tasting the same thing, and he'll go, oh, I get a little bit of peanut or nutmeg, and I'll go, oh, yeah, or he'll go pine, or, oh, yeah, I do get the pine. So I totally get it. And how it's additive, and how you can then kind of pick those things up. And it is a whole nother level of difficulty when he will be describing something and I got to go, wow, I'm kind of getting that, but is that him influencing me, or do we maybe have the same thing in front of us? And I got to literally kind of like wall it out and just say, let me just do what's here. Pirate ship.
I think today, in the bracket today, I think you both more or less worked out where the Kilchoman was. I mean, you didn't know it was that at the time, but what you were describing on the Kilchoman, it was in a completely different position in the lineup for Scott. But Scott said, I think he couldn't remember whether it was the C or the D, right? But he knew the flavors that you were talking about. He was able to pick out what you were referring to, I think.
Yeah. Yep, I did. It was my D, Bart. Get it? My D.
Got it.
Eric is asking, Eric Waite is asking, and I think he's come obviously because of Eric's wine background. He's talking about the flavors or the undesirable flavor compounds and things that you get in wine that are fairly common, and he was asking if that's the same thing in whiskey, and he refers to something he's called TCA, which is cork taint, volatile acidity, which is fingernail polish. Well, we get a lot of that acetone type note in whiskey sometimes, don't we?
Right.
And there are common, well, let's say there are common things in whiskey, and yes, a lot of them could be flaws or perhaps feints that you get in whiskey. Acetone is one of them. Sulfur is another one. There's lots of different sulfurs. It's just sometimes whiskey can be exceptionally hot and peppery if the still's been run a bit fast or that kind of thing happens. But a lot of the time, I mean, if somebody tasted a Laphroaig for the first time ever as their first ever whiskey, they would think that was full of undesirable things, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there was somebody was mentioning sulfur as well, and I think that maybe that Lochgorm thing is there could be a bit of sulfur going on there, but
yeah,
there's a lot of sulfur in whiskey, and sulfur actually exists in barley before it's even been, malted or mashed or distilled, and a distiller has the opportunity to either cancel that sulfur out or harvest it and exaggerate it. So there are some malt styles out there where they actively want that sulfur note, like in a Mortlach or a Benrinnes or sometimes Springbank and things. They like those kind of positive sulfur notes. But I think the sulfur notes that we don't like is what you picked out, Bart. You picked out an egg-like sulfur, didn't you?
Right. I did. I wanted to throw real quick, Loch Ness is spot on here. He was impressed that Scott called out the Ardbeg and the Lagavulin in the very first bracket. Yep.
And broken clock is right twice a day. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But that broken clock you hit on twice in one bracket. So that's a lot harder to do. You've got a TARDIS now.
Well, I'd like to point out I don't think I nailed it. I said this reminds me of an Ardbeg. I didn't say this is an Ardbeg. And I said the vanillas and the citrus were reminded me of a Lagavulin. I don't know if that's nailing it.
I think that's pretty darn close. So I think that was just you, like, I say crazy stuff, and then I'm crazy wrong, and I'm crazy right.
That's an Ardbeg, you idiot.
That's right. I'll say this is the English Whiskey Company peated, and you're like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you nailed that one for sure. And the Nadura peated.
Right. But I think you nailed it.
George Kaplan is tuning in. I'd like to say on Instagram, he sent out some pictures. He did his own 16-bottle blind shootout with a buddy. So
I know we've got a couple of people. We've got several people that are doing that kind of along with us, trying to get as close as they can and matching our brackets.
Simeon Della Vecchia is saying that he still can't believe the Scotch Test Dummies don't have more subscribers, especially when compared to other channels. Well, I think that's I would say that regardless of what number, you guys are at 6,000 or something subscribers now. I think that what I find watching your channel is just how engaged everyone is. It doesn't really matter if you have 6,000 or 60,000. What you've got is a community behind you there that's just really fantastic to be a part of. And I like to think sometimes that I'm skirting along in your coattails sometimes, because a lot of the guys that are chatting in there tonight, I'm fortunate that they join me as well. It's just a wonderful crowd of people.
Yeah.
And rather than measure on the subscription size, measure on that community spirit that's building. It's fantastic.
I would agree.
I'd like to say that's probably about 5,600 more than we probably should have.
Right. Yeah. When we started off, we were like, if 17 people watch and you and I get to drink whiskey and talk, we've won. Yeah, the whole idea that we're just sipping whiskey, hanging out together with a decent excuse.
Hey, Bart, there's not a super chat, but give Martin Calmer the cowbell because he just pointed out we hit 6,500. Let me confirm that.
Oh, waiting for confirmation.
We did, yep. Live count.
Cowbell?
Cowbell.
We're doing a cowbell. I'm going to do a cowbell, what I call just a twist and turn. That's doing nothing. So hold on. The twist and the turn did absolutely nothing. That was silent. That's the inexperience of the cowbell.
Cowbell from Martin Calmer pointing out we hit 6,500. Thanks, Martin.
But I would agree. Scott and I love to see the general overall growth, of course. But I'll speak for Scott on this because I know we talk. We don't think, let's do show X and maybe that'll drive another 1,000 subscribers. No, we're like, it's really still is our growth. I know I'm looking at our growth, our whiskey growth projection and how we're, I joke around, but the merry men and where we've come from is really more intriguing to me. At some point, I would love to sit down and maybe it wouldn't make for a good show, but I recently did go look at some of our early shows. It was actually after Ben Dietrich had said that he used to watch us early on just for the entertainment. And I'm like, okay, that's good. But he says now he watches both for entertainment and because he likes how we'll break down a whiskey or we'll pick up a note or we'll have a twist on an idea. And I thought, now that's good. That's the growth curve both in the show and in our whiskey experience. Hold on, we got a Snipers in. He's got a $20 super chat. Next, Pete Wars.
Bring that baby. Bring that baby. Ring it loud. Ring it proud.
Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. We know who the Vader would be. That's right. Yeah, we'll do a little cosplay. That'll be a special sometime.
Nice one, Eric. I think he's referring to your intro, which I thought was hysterical, superb. The bracket one intro today was brilliant. You guys must have had fun doing that.
Oh yeah, that was Scott. Scott, yeah, we had fun humming it and doing the things. That was Scott's idea and the crawl. He's like, we gotta like hum to it or something. I'm like, let's do it.
I said we had to mix it up.
Yeah.
And I think just picking up what you were talking about there, Bart, when you're talking about the whiskey journey kind of going like that rather than looking at the numbers of subscribers and things, I think that's absolutely right. And you have to just do what you're passionate about and what you enjoy. And the number of people or views or whatever that brings is incidental, right? Because, nobody is going to go out there and buy whiskey just because it gets views. You're only buying the whiskey that you want to taste. You're buying the whiskey that you're curious about, that you love, that you enjoy. And that's kind of what leads you in. And I guess the people that follow you will follow you for that reason. Yeah. And
Scott and I had pointed out we've known each other 23 years. And I told him starting off where I thought we definitely had an advantage. Well, it was two things. One, it's a whiskey journey. It's not a whiskey show. It's a whiskey journey. And I thought people would jump on board that train or whatever vessel, maybe pirate ship, and then come along. Two was that over the years we've known each other, what you see on the show is us. It's a little exaggerated with a manga shirt or a cowbell or whatever, but we've got that chemistry right down to the first time we're hanging out, and we're both Star Wars fans, and I say, yeah, look, somehow Luke's planet's Tatooine. And immediately you've got Scott looking at me like I'm an idiot, which you guys see all the time, going, it's Tatooine. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm right. And he's like, no, you're totally wrong, dude. It's Tatooine. It's Tatooine. It's not Tatooine. I'm like, oh, okay. And then and the fact that I still love Star Wars, I didn't really care too much that I missed the pronunciation of Tatooine. Have I come far with my Scotch pronunciations? No.
I don't know if you guys know this guy. He's a new name to me, Eric Brotemarkel. He's saying the first time I picked up the Band-Aid note, I regretted buying the Lagavulin. It grew on me, and now I get excited when I get the unique notes. I would really enjoy a dirty sock every now and then. And that's absurd. And I think people that aren't into whiskey, they hear us talking about these things. Oh, yeah, I'm getting a bit of a sweaty sock on this one. I mean, it's ridiculous that we should enjoy that, right? You know, a boot polish and, oh, this is getting burnt wood and...
Yeah, creosote and railroad tie.
Yeah, burnt rubber, all of these things.
Yeah.
Welsh Toro is replying to Eric saying, absolutely, a dirty note really adds something. I was noshing down on a portion of pig's trotters in Andalusia a few days ago, and I loved that alternative. Yeah, and I think that suddenly what I'm finding is that the more whiskey I enjoy and taste and the flavours I pick out of it, the more it's switching me on to what I'm capable of doing in life generally. So when you're walking and smelling, if you're in a market, if you're in a new part of town, a different country, or if you're eating food, suddenly you're tasting and smelling everything in a much... I don't know if you guys find that, but it certainly affects me like that.
Totally. When I was in South Korea just for a couple weeks, now this is years and years ago, before I was even into whiskey, but I will always remember the smell of the cooking oil or the heating oil and just that different, you know, that rich, strong, I don't know, it's almost a kerosene. It's but of what Daegu and Seoul, Korea were. So I agree that the experience and part of even being in the moment, like you said, it may be just picking up the smell of where you're at, not even the whiskey.
Yeah.
100%.
And it helps you remember it, doesn't it? Are we getting to see the shirts tonight, Scott, or not?
Yeah, you guys were talking. I've been checking the website. The U.S. shop is now showing up, the U.S. and Canada, and the U.K. shop is up now as well. The designs literally just showed up on there, but I'll go ahead. I'm going to screen share.
That's good.
And so people don't have to leave.
There you go. Good call.
And we can look at each design. Of course, first up is our the new fresh Android head. And I don't have this on a dark background. And what you'll see on each one of our designs, we've added kind of our stamp of approval. Scotch Test Dummy Certified Scotch God, it says. So one T-shirt design there. Coming closely behind that one is our Spartan helmet. A little distressed look with it. And the stamp of approval as well.
I've got them on the website. They're up.
Okay, good.
Hey.
Cool.
So here's the new rework, basically, of our the Dummies Glencairn with the stamp of approval on it.
Love the blue coming through.
Yep, the thin blue line running through it. And the stamp of approval gets its own shirt as well. So you can get a shirt. This is what this is a big version of the little stamp of approval you see on each of our designs. Scotch Test Dummy Certified Scotch. I think this one's probably my favorite, right? Well, the helmet and the Android are close with it. What you can't see on a light background here real good are love.
I'll tell you what, Scott, I could do a screen share. I've got them on the dark background from your website now.
Okay. Well, nice. I can pull them up there as well. How's that? I mean, is that showing okay there? Let's just go in here. So yeah, here on our store site here, we only had merchandise and the T-shirt shop. Now we have USA and a UK shop. Don't order yet if you're watching. If you tuned in late, what you want to do is you want to wait till Tuesday and Wednesday, the 17th and the 18th, and there is a 20% off coupon you can use. That's for people that are watching.
Is that for the guys in Europe and the UK as well?
Yep. It works on both websites. Both are offering that promotion. So here you can see the new rework design, basically, of Love the Peat. It's got our stamp of approval on it. And then what we have worked in are names of different peated whiskeys in small print throughout it.
Superb.
And then a new design that Bart wanted, Rye Be Normal. And the same, a lot of rye whiskeys and some of our sayings as well in the Scotch Test Dummies are worked in small print through it. I don't know if that blows up better.
I like that. Rye Be Normal, baby.
Yeah, it shows a little bit better there. You can see the names of different rye whiskeys in here. Same with the peat. So several new designs, all looking good. I'm looking forward to. We was going to order a couple to have on today for the show, but we couldn't have had them in time for the show. And we also kind of wanted to get them up before that 20% off on Tuesday and Wednesday, so that you guys can get stuff a little bit cheaper and save you guys some money as well.
Now, we need to say, too, just let folks know, we did cycle off some designs. So that's fine. We're going to do that periodically. We'll cycle some stuff out, tweak some stuff a little bit. Quite honestly, some stuff works well. People like it. And some other, some other stuff, people like, oh, that's good, but it's just not as well liked, in which case that's fine. That tells us what the people like, and we just cycle it off.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of these things, I mean, they love the peat. I get the idea that that's not, you didn't decide that was one of your things. Then it's almost like it's feedback from commenters and viewers and things, a lot of this stuff. And I mean, did you come up with the Scotch Gods thing yourselves, or how did that come about?
Yep, that's a Bart term.
Yeah, I just see so much crazy stuff that some of it sticks, but and then I don't. Wasn't it like our 12th or 20th show or something? We got done, and you're like, "Where did you come up with the Scotch God?" Yeah, you're like, "What was that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know where that came from." And you're like, "Huh? Well, it's kind of cool." I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. So what we need to find out is stuff I've said. There's probably a fan that's got it. Where I came out and said, "Pink ponies, woo!" And then Scott was like, "What the hell was that?" And I'm like, "That was good, wasn't it?" No, that was dumb. What, pink ponies didn't? No, leave that alone. Don't say that again. Martin Colmer, hold on. That's a ring around the cowbell there. I had a little flourish.
Thank you, Martin. Yeah, that's awesome.
Very good.
Simeon is asking about Roy, if he has his own channel. He does, and I'm typing it so you can see the spelling for it.
Yes. Well, that does, I think we brought this up. Is that a Gaelic spelling that you have, or aquavitae, or is that the Latin?
Yeah, no, it's somebody else. It was when I'd started an Instagram account years ago. I wanted aquavitae, and somebody had nicked aquavitae with a U. So I just used the Latin V, the Latin styling of it, but it does cause quite a bit of confusion. So yeah, it is what it is now. It's aquavitae with a V.
Got it.
Yeah, I think it's aquavit in Sweden and some of the Scandinavian countries and things, and I think they might use the V there as well. I'm not sure.
Well, I'd like to point out, probably just about a year ago, coming up on last May, we started talking with you. You'd commented, you'd been tuning in on some live streams. We were talking back and forth. Did you have, maybe you had one or two videos up at the time?
Yes.
And we were doing live streams, and we said, why don't you come on a live stream with us? And that was for the 12 Hours of Boom. We said it's a 45-minute block, and you said, I don't know if I have that much to talk about for 45 minutes.
Understatement.
I mean, it's just my own obliviousness is just unbelievable, isn't it? I know I just talk and talk and talk, and I'm just very, very grateful that I've got folk that will come along and let me talk on Thursday nights now and the live shows and things like that. But yeah, when we had started talking, I'd been watching you guys for years as under a different channel name. But I think I was already Aquavite because the channel had started about February last year when we started to talk. And that's it. I remember that discussion. I remember the invite from you, and I thought, no, I'm not going to be able to do a live. Actually, the Scotch 4 Dummies, I was in Edinburgh with them. And they got their camera out and said, let's go live. Let's do a live from here. And I completely panicked. I said, there's just no way I could ever go live on YouTube. And look at me now. There's another cowbell, Bart.
Oh, probably drinking the Kool-Aid. Eric, how do you say, what is that? I can't quite, Brother Marco. That was cowbell around the cowboy hat. We're going to see how many of those I can create as we go here. At any moment, I'm expecting my wife to come down and say, what are you doing? What is going on?
Eric Gilbert is saying Aquavit is flavoured vodka made from barley. Just talking about Kool-Aid there, what colour? I've noticed in my lives that all my whiskies look bright yellow or lime green. Does this whiskey look that colour to you tonight?
Yes.
Yeah. It's obviously the white balance, but if I make this orange coloured, my face would go orange as well, right?
No, the white balance looks okay. I wonder if it's just maybe the color of the walls or something. Maybe you know what color this is, Scott, because you have this whiskey. This what I'm sipping tonight, and it's absolutely fantastic. Is the Circus from Compass Box? Very nice.
A very, very kind gentleman arranged for me to get this sample, and I'm drinking it on the back of an absolutely delicious Springbank 20-year-old, which I was really enjoying. But this has got all sorts of depths in it. This Circus, hasn't it?
I think it's getting the color from the green plant in the background.
Yeah,
maybe you gotta fight off the greenery.
I'll prune my plastic plant.
Scott and I have a history of plants.
Eric's saying it looks like radiator fluid on Mountain Dew soda. Well, somebody in the live commented that just on Thursday night. They said that it looked like Mountain Dew. And Whiskey Throttle's saying use a light box. There's lots of light boxes in here, but I think that might be what's causing the problem. But yeah,
Scott has good lighting. I'm noticing I need to work on my lighting off of this section over here, because I'm lighted poorly. But no, you look great.
Andrew's just thrown in a donation, a channel donation.
Hold on, daydreaming. $5 Australian. Hold on. It's hot in Australia. God, that's got to be annoying.
Well, I'd say Richie Z says that he noticed we're allowed to buy and sell whiskey now on eBay. Is that in the States? That would surprise me if in the States we can buy and sell whiskey on eBay.
Yeah, that would surprise me too, unless they've worked out some kind of licensing and a third-party shipper.
I know international. There's some countries that there's stuff on eBay. Well, I know even in Scotland, Broy's you've bought off of Amazon. There's not any whiskey sales in the United States on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, you can get most of the common or garden stuff. You can occasionally get some quite nice things, but most of the general stuff you can buy on Amazon and have it delivered with no ship. Well, if you have a Prime membership, there's no delivery charges, and it usually arrives the next day. It's fantastic.
I have a Prime membership. I wish we had that. Hello.
Yeah. I mean, I like to go along to the, there's a specialist shop in Glasgow I really like to go along to, Good Spirits Company, and the guys in there, if they're not too busy, it's nice to have a chat with them and catch up, and you get that kind of local feedback and knowledge and things that you don't get if you're just buying online. But you know what? If you just need to get your hands on the whiskey and you're busy, it's kind of handy. And obviously we've got the Whiskey Exchange, we've got Abbey Whiskey, the Spirits Embassy, Master of Malt, all of these guys that will just ship
I want Amazon to have it, but just because eventually I want a drone to bring me whiskey.
A whiskey drone.
A whiskey drone. That. Tell me that isn't a Scottish song.
That would be dangerous, though. You're sitting around, you've had a few drams. You know, Roy comes to Wichita. We've killed like 6 or 7 bottles. You're drunk, and you look on Amazon, and there's that 37-year-old Klein leaf for $1,500, and you order that thing up because you know 45 minutes later a drone is going to bring it to you.
Yeah,
that's a show I want to see. I want to see Minority Report 2, where the drone shows up with the whiskey. What a sweet drone that would be.
Jason Whiskey Wise has to go. Thanks for tuning in, Jason.
Jason.
Hey, Jason.
My boy just popped in. I could tell he was he was thrilled that the cowbell was making noise upstairs. I could just tell.
Bird Dog is asking you, Roy, what's the canister behind you under the plant?
The canister. I can't see my camera. How do I?
Oh, is he seeing the mic? I bet.
I think he's seeing the mic. Yeah, I think it's the mic. It looks like a canister at first.
Yeah, it's a mic. Who was asking? Yep. Bird Dog.
Yep, Bird Dog.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
That's good. That's good.
You can see me a bit better now. Yeah, it kind of gets in the way, but it's better if it sits on the desk. You know what these Yetis are like. Every time you put a glass down, you get this bang through the mic, don't you? So,
are you getting that from mine when I do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. How's the cowbell come in?
That sounds good. Simeon is asking if our partners drink whiskey or wise. My wife does not.
My wife will enjoy the occasional whiskey. She's not a fan. She enjoys very sweet wine and a mango liqueur called Passoa. Matter of fact, she kills me because whenever she goes to Puerto Rico, she hits what's the international spirits store that's in the
just
airport.
Free shops.
Yeah, she'll hit duty free, and she'll buy her 2-bottle limit or these $20 bottles of Passoa. And I'm like, no. There's some things I need you to get while you're there. And nope. She says if I want to buy that, I need to travel to Puerto Rico with her. So
Top Whiskeys is just joining in too. He says hi to Roy and Scott and Bart. Top Whiskeys is doing some very entertaining, a little bit of a different spin on whiskey reviews on YouTube. If you haven't seen Top Whiskeys, check him out. Doing a great job, I think.
I haven't seen it. What's his spin?
Just very, he's kind of high speed, brings a level of excitement, uses movie clips, sound clips and stuff like that with it. So very good. Shorter, probably 3 to 4 minute little deals.
Ooh.
I had it's Ed is the guy behind the camera, and it's probably Ed that's tuned in tonight. And his sidekick that you see on camera is a Californian living in London by the name of Evan. And yeah, they do some cool videos, some interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
enjoy what those guys are doing. It's bringing something different. Absolutely. My wife does not drink whiskey yet. She's probably one of the last that I've failed to convert. And to be honest, I don't know. I'd have a lot less whiskey downstairs if she did, right? So
yeah,
every cloud.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I look at it too. I'll have my wife. If I was drinking this upstairs, I might have my wife. She'll be like, take a little sip of this, see what you think. I'm like, it's pretty good. Of course, she never does think it's good. But like I say, there's pluses and minuses to that because I don't have to worry about coming down here for that. Oh, where's the last of my Lagavulin 2017 12 year? And then, honey, wait, it's gone. It's gone. What happened to it? And she'd be like,
some of the girlfriends were over, and we just had fun with the circus.
Exactly.
You were like, no, you didn't. Oh, yeah. We poured some circus all around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be like Cindy didn't like it. She threw it into the sink. I'd be like, oh, God, no. But Cindy could have saved it.
Here's a question from Simeon that he asked earlier, and I meant to address. I forgot. Sorry. He asked if we managed to get Chad and Sarah over at It's Bourbon Night into the Scotch world.
Not really.
Well, we arranged for them to get some samples on top of the Highland Park Magnus that we used in the live stream. And they also got some Scotch samples from another fan that was watching as well. And I've checked in with them a couple of times, and they're not digging the Scotch.
Right.
Which surprises me. I mean, just it's not that, to me, it's not whiskey is whiskey. I mean, there's different types, but usually I would think if you were a lover of one type of whiskey, it's not that far, to venture into other genres of whiskey.
They may not
they've had several different styles, from different, peats and sherries, non-wine influenced, ages, stuff like that. And they just haven't, last I checked, they hadn't found any of them pleasurable. Oh, and Richie Z is pointing out that they're actually on live now too. Yeah, I'd noticed at least once they'd gone live on Sundays as well. So we need to, we might have to consult with them and see who's going live when, so we can
synchronize it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like we brought this up on my show on Thursday night as well, is that there's just so much content out there just now. And that's fine, because what happens is people can choose when to watch and what order and prioritize. But the live shows are a different thing altogether, because there's only so many hours in an evening and a weekend. And when there's so many things going on, it's kind of difficult. And there's an inevitability that we just have to not get too hung up on treading on each other's toes occasionally, right?
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts, Roy, on all the you've got a lot of new Scottish distilleries opening and a whole lot of new Irish distilleries opening. What from a closer vantage point, what do you think of all? I mean, obviously all whiskey's good, but what are your thoughts? Is there going to be enough of a continued growth to handle these, or what do you think is going to happen?
I think if I can only really speak about Scotch, because Scotch is the only thing that I'm comfortable about. That's the only thing I feel like I've got some kind of handle on. And Scotch whiskey is flat. The growth is very, very flat, and occasionally it'll dip and things. But that's Scotch whiskey as a whole. I mean, premium Scotch and single malts are exploding. They're just absolutely booming. It's the blends that are kind of flat, and as people kind of move towards maybe a more discerning palate, or maybe they get to learn more about what they're drinking and they study it more and they get passionate about it, that kind of takes them towards malt whiskies and premium blends and things like that. And I think that every time you click on and read a news site, you hear about plans for another distillery somewhere. And I think there were some stats I read recently that we went from in the 90s, there was less than 100 distilleries, and it was just as things started to pick up again. And then just now we're clocking 140-ish active. It's really difficult to keep count, with more in construction in various phases all the time. Now, all of that's great for us, right? Because it's bringing more variety. But like you say, there's maybe no bad whiskey, but there's obviously going to be less good whiskey. And I think that while there's so much competition there, it has to be a good thing, because everybody's going to have to bring something good. They're going to have to bring something interesting. They're going to have a spin and an angle. And a lot of the new distilleries are focusing on natural presentation. And they know that if they want to charge the premium, they've got to bring a good product. So I'm hopeful. I'm very, very optimistic. I'm generally an optimistic person anyway. But so many of these distilleries that have opened in the last 5 or so years, it's going to be so long before we get a chance to actually taste. And it's a shame sometimes when you try it at 3 years old, because it's not always fair. And I don't think I'm good enough to be able to judge how good a whiskey is going to be if I'm tasting it at 3 or so years old, right?
Right. I'm curious because I've seen the growth in the state. in regards to more and more people that are diving into the whiskey realm. But obviously, the huge influencers, in my opinion, are going to be India and China. And as they move into a solid middle class and an upper middle and even all the way into the upper, you know, the numbers that they can drive as far as per bottle consumption, as I'm hopeful that I think there's going to be continued demand, because whiskey is so good, everybody needs a chance to try it. So, you know, and right or wrong, I lean toward Scotch. I really, really like all the subtleties and the fineries of Scotch. It doesn't mean I don't like some bourbons, but I find a lot of bourbons have, for me, because of that virgin oak, a lot of similar flavors, and it's almost pretty easy for me to pick out the studs or the real strong good ones that are in the bourbon family. And that's why I like the Rise, is because of the sparkiness and the brashness of a good rye.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. And the Irish, that triple distillation in general, I get a nicer, lighter. My wife, I think, leans more toward an Irish dram because of the smoothness and the lightness. So, but I don't know. I'm trying to. I love that we try from all around the world and what's going on in New Zealand and Australia. But I really see an interesting ecosystem kind of operating at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless of what we think is going to happen next year or the year after, I think we need to just concentrate and enjoy the now, because whiskey teaches you that, doesn't it? I mean, there's so many people that are kind of really nostalgic and misty-eyed about whiskies that are long since gone. And some people, including me, are like that about whiskies that just disappeared last year. So I think it's still very, very positive in general to be into whiskey and enjoying whiskey right now. More and more people seem to be getting into it. More and more people are starting to have 2, 3, 4, half a dozen bottles at home just to enjoy and compare and share. And that's really what it's all about. And I'm loving being into whiskey just now. Everybody seems to understand that it's a fantastic thing. And I think you're absolutely right what you say about Scotch, Bart. Of course, I'm biased. I'm in Scotland. That's kind of what I love. But it has got the gamut. It has got the variance bandwidth there. The amount of different flavours that you can get in Scotch is quite staggering. And the live show I did on Thursday night was just to try and pick 3 whiskies to kind of mark the extremes. You know, I picked a really heavily sherried whiskey, a very bourbon sweet whiskey, and a peated whiskey, just to give somebody a snapshot of just how, I mean, these 3 whiskies don't taste like they could conceivably be the same drink. And I think that's why it's one of the reasons it's so compelling.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
A question from, it was Eric Brodemarkle. Anybody using Masters of Malt, what are your thoughts? About a month ago, Masters of Malt and Whiskey Exchange both severely limited what states they were shipping to. And what I'd read was FedEx had changed its delivery policies, and basically about 7 states were allowed to get deliveries of alcohol. I got a notification the other day. Masters of Malt had updated. They were now delivering to around 20, 25 different states. Kansas was still not one of them. So they're working on it. But I have now, to me, with Masters of Malt and the Whiskey Exchange, anything European, you're getting the 700 milliliter bottle as opposed to the 750 in the States, which is roughly, it's a little less than 2 ounces difference. But you can save quite a bit of money by with the 700 milliliter bottle. For example, my 21-year Glendronach Parliament, I got with shipping $155, $160. In the States, that bottle alone is like $220, $230 so you're paying an extra $70 for 2 ounces.
Right. Looks like Toon Dan Rouge is going to leave here. He's got a family day. Thanks for tuning in, Toon. Sorry,
Yeah,
cut you off.
I hadn't even seen Tune in here before. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, Tune.
Good night, Toon. I often get to hang out with Toon on a Thursday night. It depends on what you're buying, Scott. What was the example you used there from Master of Malt?
Glendronach 21 Parliament.
Perfect example, and that's a good thing for you guys. But if you flip the coin, if I want to buy Mellowcorn from Master of Malt, it would cost me £30.
Oh, Lordy.
So that's what, $40 plus, and you guys can buy it for 10, right? So,
Yeah.
but that makes sense. Geographically, that makes sense. And I use Master of Malt regularly. I use the Whiskey Exchange regularly, a few others, and it's good to have that service there. I love it. But I guess it depends on what you're buying. They're great for Scotch.
Well, that is good. Well, Scott, Roy, soon I'll have to part ways just to check on the family mid Sunday here.
Well, I was going to say we're about the hour and a half mark, which is long for us, short for Roy.
We're compromised, have we?
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Maybe each week after our during the Pete Strikes Back, we'll come in kind of with a bracket recap and just talk about what whiskeys were in there. Take a kind of look at them. And we have new T-shirt designs are up. We have a U.S. Canada shop and a shop in UK and Europe now. There's two different tabs on our webpage. Everybody that's watching, though, wait until Tuesday or Wednesday to order. If you're going to order shirts, there's a 20% off sale coming the 17th and 18th of April. So those that are watching can get a little savings there.
Yeah. And in the future, more cowbell.
More cowbell. That's right.
All right.
Roy, most people watching know where you're at. Tell us, give us a short bio here and where to find you.
Aquavitae. So on YouTube, Aquavitae, and the Aqua is with a V, AQVA is the channel. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter. I do occasionally have a look at Facebook. But yeah, I mostly live in YouTube now, and I'd love to welcome you over there. I do a live every other Thursday, and when I get a chance, I try to do the occasional pre-recorded video, although it's been February since my last video. Although there is a blind challenge I have to be editing pretty soon. Scott, can you tell us about that?
Well, let's see. Matter of fact,
Oh,
I got some samples.
he was selected.
That's right. So you can see right there, Scotch Guest Dummy Blind Challenge. I got 5 drinks in here. Those who like to say these were arranged for me to be gotten. And I've got a letter here that says open first. It hasn't even been opened yet. So I'll do all that on camera, and that should happen soonish.
Wow, that is neat.
Superb. I'm looking forward to that.
Now, that is just a little brief on that. That's something Roy actually started, and Roy is arranging for these to happen. Your first one was with Vin over at No Nonsense Whiskey. You've done with Jason. Is there any Jason Whiskey Wise? Is that the only two, or has there been another?
Well, I had an idea to do something with blind tasting. Foodquig was on one night, and he mentioned that he would love to do a blind tasting, but there was nobody around to pour it for him when he was drinking whiskey. So I just kind of, that was a call to action for me. I sent over, but I hadn't really developed all the challenges and the categories, the genres and things. But he was the acid test there, and he actually made a video out of it, and I realized that could work. But what I wanted it to be a collaborative thing. So obviously, Scott, what's going to happen is you're going to shoot that blind challenge, and then you're going to hand the footage over to me. I edit the video together. So kind of that extra level of integrity there as well. And that extra level of trust that's required. And then, of course, you guys get to release it on your video, and the views and the video contributes to you guys, your channel. It's hosted on your channel. But that's, yeah, you're right. The first official one was Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey, then Jason Whiskey Wise. Keith at Malted Man Cave nominated you, Scott, and you'll be the 4th kind of structured one that we've done in the series. It's great fun, though. It's really great fun.
Looking forward to it, actually. So I'm sure you sent some good whiskeys. I mean, I'm sure you arranged for me to try some good whiskeys.
There'll be certainly curious whiskies. Let's say that. Fantastic.
Well, just I know the general framework of what you've done and what you can. I mean, you do. There's like one of them is a blend. One of them is a kind of a grocery store or a cheaper whiskey. One of them will be like a 30-year whiskey, and one is like, some other type of whiskey. So
the idea there is not to test your ability, Scott, even although I'm quite struck by how good you guys are getting at this. It's not to test that. It's to test the whiskey, not the taster. So, is the cheaper whiskey, could it potentially be better than a mediocre or an expensive whiskey? And what's been true of all the blind challenges I've done so far, the cheapest whiskey I've put in there has never been put to the end. It's never been the least liked whiskey, which is super curious. But of course, most guys are able to pick out the better stuff and pick it out as their favorite. But that's what it's about, is to kind of strip away the marketing, the backstory, your prejudices and preconceptions about that distillery or whatever, and just let you taste it and decide what you like. And I think that's what people enjoy, the fun of it.
Yeah. So we'll get that filmed hopefully soon, and let you edit that and get it together, and it goes up. Like Roy says, it'll go up on our channel. So, and then sometime, was the next person nominated?
You nominate the next person.
Okay. Well, I know I'd recommended a name. I didn't know if that stuck or if it was there.
Okay. No, well, I know you've suggested to me, but what will happen is on your last envelope that you open, there'll be a list there.
Okay.
And you look, and that's the people that have thrown their name in the ring. That's the people that are willing to take it on. So, and you can pick out whoever you fancy from that list.
All right.
Wow, that's neat. On that note, Scotch it, you Scotch gods.
Cilantro.
Cilantro.
Dummies.
And